What a beautiful day for a walk, guys. Look at those clouds. How many poems and songs do you think have been written about love? You guessed it. It's Valentine's Day. So let's talk about love from a Buddhist perspective. I'm at Shadow, and this is Walk With Me Philosophy, and I'm so glad you're here. I really want to talk to you about this, so let's go for a walk. If you've never been to a Dhamma talk with a real monk who really knows what he's talking about, I highly recommend it. One of my all-time favorite speakers and monks. I've grown a great affection for him over the years, is a man named Ajahn Brahm, and he's with the Buddhist Society of Western Australia. I highly recommend you look him up on YouTube and just sit with him. He's an amazing person. I sat through his little discussion on love, and I thought I would share it with you briefly. So, there's 3 types of love. The first one being romantic. It's the most unattached. I don't have a romantic bone in my body, as they would say. Anyone I've had that kind of a relationship with knows. Don't you dare bring me jewelry and flowers. But if you really want to win my heart, take my truck down and get it detailed. Make it look brand new. I would be the happiest person on the planet. So romantic love is the most superficial. It's quite conditional. It's very chemical based. And you really don't know the other person through this type of a relationship. You really can't know anyone unless you actually live with them or have experienced them over a long period of time, 24/7, to feel their real ego. When you have a chemical romantic relationship with someone, it's super easy to be disappointed because you have certain expectations of that person, but you don't really know them deep down. So chances are pretty good they're not going to reach those expectations. So the next form of love would be unconditional love. It's the type of love you would feel towards your mother or towards a child, a sibling, or towards anybody else that would be highly valuable to you. And the whole reason we call it unconditional is because we don't set expectations for the other person. We embrace them as a whole, flaws and all. And Buddhists like to cultivate this with all people by practicing loving kindness and working really hard to develop compassion towards all people and towards all beings. And for Buddhists, there's actually a deeper type of love. It's when Buddha calls the no self or a form of emptiness, both of which I think, for us Westerners, are really difficult translations to really process. Basically, it's stillness. It's this space between us and everybody else, and between us and everything else. We assume that there's nothing there. But in truth, what is there is the stuff that makes up everything. Now, as usual, can't remember the source of this information, but if you look at life almost like an iceberg floating in the ocean, It's also part of the ocean. It's made of the ocean. It's just in a physical form. And you can really only see 10% of it on the surface. The other 90% is underwater and you can't see it. So we're kind of like the icebergs. And the 10% that's above the water is what everybody else can see of us. The 90%, even we can't even perceive most of that. And yet we're still part of the ocean. And eventually, this physical form is going to melt and we'll rejoin the ocean. One of my greatest takeaways from Ajahn Brahm's little talk about love on Valentine's Day is he talked about a survey that was conducted of single men and single women. And they made them discuss a top 5 list of things that they find most attractive in the opposite sex. And the results from both groups were pretty much unanimous. They wanted trustworthiness, reliability, easygoing. They wanted someone easygoing. They wanted someone who was kind and patient and disciplined. And the funny part about it is that list pretty much meets up with the 5 precepts of being a good Buddhist. So there you have it. Another walk with Aunt Shadow. Thank you so much for being here. You make these walks so much more pleasant. I enjoy them immensely. And I hope you'll come back and walk with me again really soon. See you next time.